Which insect made all these little annoying holes in the side of your house? Find out in this episode. Welcome to Bug of the Week Part 10, brought to you by Lil Dudes Insect Academy. If you're new here, consider subscribing, dropping a like. You guys know the drill. But yeah, you heard me right. Episode 10. We've been doing this for 10 weeks. It's been super fun, and I'm looking forward to the next 10 and 100 more episodes. So, with that, let's just jump right into this. Within the genus of Xylocoppa are these fluffy guys, Carpenter bees. Found mostly in the eastern states of the US, these large native bees are mostly lovable. Although these guys kinda look similar to the famous bumblebee, they are distantly related in the fact that they are both bees within the family of Apidae, but also honeybees and all bees are within the family of Apidae, so they're only related in the fact that they're both bees. Carpenter bees are significantly large in bee terms, in bee standards, but often having jet black bodies with often iridescent wings, which are super cool. Sometimes they're green wings, sometimes they're iridescent blue. Very cool. Unlike most other bees, these bees actually don't have much hair. They actually have hair that more so resembles the hair patterns of a wasp, which is fairly conservative, mostly bald. Most of the hair is more like hair and not so much fuzz like there is in other bees, but yeah, they're mostly bald, and then on their legs there's little hair as well. Carpenter bees are also a solitary bee, meaning that they don't live in a colony like honeybees or bumblebees do. They actually live all alone by themselves, raising their young, and I'll get to that in a minute, but they're solitary bees, that's what that's called. Now, because of their large size that I mentioned earlier, they actually need to feed on a lot of pollen and nectar to maintain their caloric intake, and so because of this, carpenter bees are actually extremely efficient pollinators, more so than honeybees, for example. And I don't know that I've mentioned this in a previous episode, but honeybees are actually not native to the US. They were actually introduced in the 1800s, I believe, for agricultural purposes. And carpenter bees are actually referred to as native bees. So all of your native and solitary bees, like bumblebees, bumblebees aren't solitary, but they are native bees. Honeybees are not native. So carpenter bees are very good for our habitat, and they're also really good pollinators as well. Now, female carpenter bees actually do have a stinger, although it isn't barbed like a honeybee stinger is, so it isn't left in the victim, giving them the ability to sting multiple times. And stings from a carpenter bee are mostly benign, but very rare, so they're not a big deal if it does happen. These bees are also equipped with massive compound eyes that take up about 70% of their total headspace, making them very adept at dodging predators and foraging for flowers. Now, a big chunk of the majority of the rest of their head is taken up by these big mandibles and big jaw muscles, which I'll talk about the purpose of those in just a second. So, this is all cool and all, a cool native bee. You guys learned about what a native bee is, what a solitary bee is, but why is it called a carpenter bee? Why do they have that name? Well, carpenter bees were actually given their name for their unique nesting behaviors. First, they typically choose to nest in a dead, soft piece of wood, such as pine, and using their oversized, saw-like mandibles, they bore a hole about 1 inch in diameter and 5 to 6 inches in depth. And the female carpenter bee then lives inside the tunnel, raising her brood and creating the next generation of carpenter bees inside of it. So she makes a little room where she raises her brood, she feeds them, she makes little cells for them, similar to bumblebees. Carpenter bees do not make honey like honeybees do, but they do collect pollen and nectar and feed it to their young as well. And because of this nesting behavior, they're actually often viewed as a pest, and sometimes they dig their nest in the siding, eaves, or soffits of houses and buildings, and we don't like that, so a lot of times they get exterminated, even though they are really good pollinators and really good for our ecosystem. These bees are certainly one of the only bees that are viewed as pests by us, but I would let them stick around at my house just for the sake of pollination. I would see it as kind of a trade-off. I give them a place to live, and they pollinate my garden. If you enjoyed this episode of Bug of the Week, definitely leave a like and subscribe, and check out the 9 other episodes of Bug of the Week that I have. I have a playlist in the channel below. I also have some fun other content, not Bug of the Week, coming soon. So I'm planning on some not Bug of the Week videos coming soon of some fun behind the scenes, kind of other things I'm interested in. So, you know, that might be a hint. That little habitat back there, yeah. So there's going to be some videos about that. Super fun stuff coming, other than Bug of the Week. Obviously, Bug of the Week is here to stay. It's still going to be happening, but some more additions. So I'm super excited about that. So subscribe if you don't want to miss out on that, and I will see you all next week, and keep on bugging.